You can always come before me so you can fix the equipment. Watch the cable, everyone.
He knows that if you walk out, you hate him. Yeah, he said, don't come in late, but he said last week, when people come in late, he likes to make sure they're comfortable. He said, you have to make people feel like they're as comfortable as possible, so that they won't do it again. So never come in late. No, I feel bad all the time. No, but honestly, people like, I found him to be the most engaging member. I find some of them are just that I'm just like, holy shit, and I don't want to do that. But he's pretty funny. I didn't read. I read like the intro paragraph and I was like, yeah, but I just want to see it was so boring. I hate maths, I would rather do maths. I've been told this for a time. Yeah, get it ready because, oh yeah, your Wi-Fi. You say the Wi-Fi's pretty bad in here. This is like the first time it's connected.
What's this again? Intro to music communication.
What's that card?
Free bus class. I never have to pay.
I get a third off. Your picture's so good.
This is better.
No, I think the other one's better.
No, this one is actually. This is terrible. This is me 2 years ago. That's COVID Chloe. I went to like, so I don't know how they did it.
Mine's been restarted.
Mine is too.
Yeah, this one's mine.
It's better than my other one.
I look tiny, I'm really far away from the camera. My bus stuff is alright. I get like a third off.
For Wales, it's really regular. I don't know if it's just for hospital though. Is that,
My mum got it for Bristol. I didn't have to do it.
Do you want me to ask my mum to send me?
Yeah, that would be really good. Your makeup.
My lips are closed down.
He says he really wants it. So basically, I need he hates
I love my makeup.
I can't do it.
I go through things.
Yeah.
So, first things first, I'm going to send an announcement to everyone tomorrow, and it's going to be really arsey. It's going to be full on. It might not even be passive aggressive, it might transcend passive aggression into aggression. It is not aimed at anyone in this room. Okay? So if you're here, but the 28% of your peers who have not turned up today are going to get it in the neck. It's like, any of you ever bitch at me about how much university costs, and then you can't turn up in week 2, I am going to gut you with a spoon. It's going to be really painful. Second thing, tomorrow you have seminars for MS-100 for the first time. Are you all aware of this? Do you all know where you're going? Oh, maybe, actually, reverse that. Do you all know what time you're going somewhere, first of all? So you've been allocated to a group. Excellent. Is there anyone, and this is an open question, don't be embarrassed, although it is kind of embarrassing when you admit to a lack of knowledge. Is there anyone who doesn't know where they're going? No? Sweet. I will see some of you at 3 o'clock tomorrow then. Excellent. Third thing, you have an examination on Wednesday this week. I went through it last week, but I will go through it quickly again now. You have 24 hours in which to do that examination. You can do it at 1 minute past midnight if you wish on the Wednesday. I wouldn't recommend that. I would do it at a normal time with a cup of coffee or maybe a baked good of some kind to power you through it. Bag of sweets, crisps, whatever you like. But you have that day to do it. If anyone has an issue with Wednesday, can you please let me know before Wednesday, and then I can reallocate the time just for you. That is not a problem for me to do. I can control the test so I can take you out of it and give you another time to do it. That isn't a problem. I can't do that after Wednesday, I'm afraid. That's the way the system works. I cannot reallocate it once it's been run. It will essentially not exist any longer. So please, if you do have some circumstances which mean you cannot do the test on Wednesday, it does happen. Somebody could have an appointment of some kind, or you could have something that happens in the meantime. Please let me know. This session today, second half, second half is about the examination on Wednesday. So I will take you through what it is you need to know to pass that examination. And not just pass it, to get minimum 80%. Nobody should get less than 80% on that test on Wednesday. If you do, you probably need to look at the referencing guide a bit closer than you have previously. Or at least look over my slides again to get motivated. The first half of this lecture is not really a lecture at all. This is kind of stuff that you will already know. But it's weird how there's little pockets of knowledge distributed across a group of this size. Some of you will already do some things. Others of you will never have thought to do other things. This has come out of discussions that were held last year with students who came into the first year, where they basically were asked, what do you wish you were told at the beginning of the year? And in that process, loads of stuff came out. And there was some stuff, it was like, some people say, I wasn't told that fiction is shit. I was like, well, I wouldn't know, because I'm like 40. If I went in fiction, I'd get arrested for being that guy. So, no, I'm not telling you, okay, but heads up, fiction, shit, right? So I'm taking that from the people last year and giving it back to you, and that's what I'm here to do, is to help you. More practically, there was a whole bunch of stuff about the course, and in particular, what to do. And this makes a lot of sense, because you've all, by and large, come from different places. Weirdly, there will be some people in this room who know people from school or college. Yeah, get some nods. And that's just weird. That is strange, and it would give me the ick in a big way if that happened. I left school at 16 to get away from those losers. If I saw them at university at 18, I would, no, gotta leave, gotta move. But unfortunately, I went to the kind of school where the most intelligent person was the one who had their tattoos vaguely spelled correctly. So they were never likely to challenge the higher education system in the first place. The point I'm labouring to make is, when you were at school, when you were at college, you would have been given certain direction as to how to do things in regards to study, regards to attendance at lessons, etc. What we do really badly as a university is tell people what we expect of them. We make all sorts of assumptions about, oh, you've been through 13 years of education, you will know what to do. I don't think it works that way, actually. And even if you do have a really good idea of what to do, you could always do with some extra information and ideas about, oh, well, here's a way you could do things as well. So I took all the stuff that we got off people last year and tried to make sense of it. Added a few things myself, which I've seen over the years works well for students. This is difficult for me in some ways because I've not been an undergraduate student for 20 years. Okay? And when I was an undergraduate student, what you had was nothing like this. There was no such thing as a virtual learning environment like Canvas, where all the materials were held. There were no screens. I used to have lectures in this room. I used to have individual psychology in this room on a Monday afternoon, 4 till 6. Not the best time for a lecture. And not the best time for the lecturer to walk in. There was like a lectern over here, and he would stand there, and he would read from his book for 2 hours. And I, after about a week, right, it was only like 4 people coming, but I had a whole thing with this girl. We were on the same course, and we kind of stuck it out together to see if we could do the entire 12 weeks out of like some kind of sadomasochistic thing that we had going on that never actually materialised into like tying each other up, but it got close after those lectures. I used to sit right up here in this seat and watch this fucking guy talk shit. I had the book. There was no need for me to come, all right? I bought the book. And think about the world. And think about my choices. Think about what I was doing here. I had a really existential crisis during this time. That was what lectures were all about. You came in, you listened to this jung-ho wacko talk for 2 hours, and you took notes. You wrote down what this fucking person said. And some of them were interesting, and some of them made it entertaining, and most of them made you want to lobotomize yourself within about 10 minutes. It was painful stuff, okay? A lot of what we assume students will do in lectures comes from that time, that you will come, you will sit, and you will listen, and you will take everything down. Ignoring the 20-odd years that have come in between where the entire world has changed. And what we do on a daily basis has changed. And how we interact with other people has changed. And our attention spans have completely changed. I could not listen to somebody talk for that length of time anymore. Not a hope. I've watched far too much TikTok. I need somebody to get to the point within like 30 seconds, or literally my hands will start making a swipe gesture up. All right? Shut up and move on. So I've tried, at least made a valiant effort to try and adapt some of the principles that the university thinks that you should be doing, but is never explained to you, into a way that we can actually do something. If you listen, learn, and apply what I'm going to tell you today, everything will be fine. Those who aren't here, the magical 28%, they're fucked. And do you know what? I'm happy with that. I will watch them leave university with a failing degree, and then I will go to Tesco, and when they're stacking shelves, and they turn around, I'm going to sweep their shit off the shelf and watch them do it again until the store security guy comes and throws me out. But I'm happy, I'm happy to take my chances. I reckon I can cause some damage in that time. Spoiler, I am going to mention several times over the next few weeks how I shoplift every time I go in Tesco. Because it's ostensibly a victimless crime, right? This is a huge corporation sucking money out of people and it has no soul. Do listen, but don't do in that instance. When I talk about committing crimes around Swansea, I am not advocating that behaviour. I'm just giving it as an example, right? That's all I'm saying to you. Last week, I needed a new zip drive. I got one from Tesco. Those self-service tills, they'll read anything. So, if this is you, the Labrador in the lab, see what I did there? Do you see what I did? Do you see how this is all coming together? That's about as good as it gets, I'm afraid, visually for me. If you feel like the Labrador in the lab after your extensive experience of less than 2 weeks at the institution, good. You're right where you should be. If you think you don't know what you're doing, good. You shouldn't. You've only been here like less than 2 weeks, so what the hell do you know about anything? If you do feel like you know what you're doing, oh, you better loosen up. You are wound way too tight at this point in time. You need to calm down a bit. You are supposed to be like this. It takes a year, easily, to get used to the place, to get used to these people around you. You didn't choose any of these people. You know the weird thing? You've all left school now, right? And you're all on, like, you know, Insta and that, keeping in touch with your people from school. Why? You didn't fucking choose to be with those people. Your parents birthed you in some location and put you into a school there with a bunch of other people who did the same thing at the same time as them. They didn't coordinate it. They didn't have a big fucking orgy and so we're all going to procreate at the same time so we can have this group of school children together who will enjoy company with one another forever. That didn't happen. If it did happen, you live in some kind of cult place and, you know, I don't want to have any academic mentoring sessions with you because I don't want to end up fed into a wood chipper. So it kind of freaks me out. I don't talk to anyone from my school because, like I said just now, most of my school can't talk. They're all inbreds, right? You know, the family trees like stumps where I grew up. So yeah, it's not good. I digress. You didn't choose to be with any of these people, but you're here. For the next 3 years, these are the people you know. Richard said something really weird in induction, right? And it really gave me the creeps. We said, like, you're meeting all these people. You might meet your future partner in this room. I was like, no, don't do that. I'm not saying like any of you all unattractive individuals. There's a whole world of people out there. Don't be so fucking narrow. You know, spread it around. This is also what university is for. If you have, at this point, no idea of what you're doing, great. That's fine. Please do not worry. The thing that comes with this is anxiety. You see other people, right? And you think, oh, they've really got it together. They know what they're doing. No, they don't. It's that swan thing. You know, you see the swan gliding across the lake and it's really serene and looks like it's got its shit together, and underneath it's just going mental. Its legs are going crazy. All of that is going on all around you. Don't think that you have to have all the answers just yet. Okay? This is a process. This is why your first year doesn't count towards anything for your final degree. It's a process. You've got to go through it. We try and help, but the truth is there'll be ups, there will be downs, and there'll be bits in the middle. Please relax. If you are concerned, if you're concerned about things, who do you go and see? Don't see me. That's not going to help you. See, the lessons of induction are so powerful that you can draw on this information immediately. If things feel bad, who is the first person you go and see? Your mentor. Whoever that person is, go and see them. If I am, unfortunate for you, your academic mentor, come and see me. I'm probably not going to be able to help, but I'll be sympathetic at least. Probably tell you somebody who can help you, you know. You need to change a tyre on your car, I can help you with that. That's, you know, I'm good at shit like that, but emotional stuff, I'm also good at. You're supposed to not be like this. It's not abnormal. Again, the university assumes you're going to come here ready-made, ready packaged. And so they give you all that information in the first week, like, you know what it means. I don't know what it means. There's a whole thing that they gave you about academic mentoring. I've not read it. I don't know what to do with academic mentoring. You come in, we talk, I do some silly shit on a computer, that's it. I'm no wiser, you're no wiser. We haven't improved as people. It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. It will get better. As we know more about you and as you actually have aims and goals, that whole process gets easier. Or you could read the thing the university gave, you know. I've never even read my employment contract, so I wouldn't be in a rush to read anything else from them, to be honest. My point, again, is the university assumes you're not going to be like this. Literally, that, you know, from wherever college or school you've come from, you're like a ready-made thing. It's just not feasible. Most of you have moved a long way to this beautiful city with its amazing climate, as you've seen over the past week. You know, that weather is not getting better, by the way. If anything, it's getting worse. You are going to get soaked very often. Get used to it. The university assumes that you know this, that you know how to do X, that you know how to do Y, that you know the importance of independent study at degree level. I don't know why, it's not like you were given a set of instructions, but there you go. If you feel, after a week and a half, you don't really know what's going on, good. Don't worry, is my message to that. Relax. You're not supposed to. This is a big, big transition. Just let it come. It will. I promise you, that's one thing I can say. It will. You will get into the routine. You will get into the rhythm of what happens here. It will come the more you are here. Don't push it though. Don't feel like you have to be on top of everything all the time. Come to the sessions you're supposed to come to. Go and talk to people if you need to. Don't put yourself under pressure. That is the most important thing. Do not feel like you're a failure after a week and a half at university. You're a failure 3 years at university, all right? That's when you fail, not this week. You will have been given, I suspect, ad infinitum, this kind of shit throughout school. That you are a particular kind of learner. I'm a visual learner, I'm a kinesthetic learner, I'm X, I'm Y, I'm Z. I learn in this way, I learn in that way, I learn in this way. Well, here's a spoiler alert. All of that is bullshit to begin with. It's total nonsense. There is no such thing as a type of learner. Everyone learns with the same mechanics. You might prefer visual information. Okay, I can appreciate that. But you still have the ability to perform the others. Ditch that. That's not going to help. The way that you have been taught to learn in schools is not sufficient for the task that you have assigned yourself, which is to get a degree in this subject. It simply isn't enough the way you've been taught now. Now, the point of that could be, oh my God, I've got to make a step up. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying at all. Every one of you is not just capable of getting a degree, every one of you in this room is capable of getting a first class degree. That much I know already. Some of the dumbasses who've got first class degrees over the last couple of years, believe me, there are, like, you know, there's tramps in the middle of town smoking, you know, spice at the moment, who, if we taught them right, they would get a first class degree, okay? You are all capable, but please throw this out of the window if it's been a part of your education previously. It ain't gonna help. You need a specific set of skills to get the most out of your degree. This crap does not help in any way, shape or form. An educational psychologist worth their salt will tell you this is nonsense. At the beginning. Why? Certain schools, not all anymore, but certain schools keep on with this sort of learning styles bullshit is ridiculous. What you need at university is attune yourself to what the demands of university education are. You are taught in a lecture system. You are all brought together in a big room with some dickhead talking at you. Yeah? We went through this last week. I'm going to do it again. I'm the next 11 weeks or whatever it is, I'm going to be this dickhead who's been talking to you. In order to get the most out of the experience, you have to do certain things, and they have to become habitual practice of what you do in order to get the most value from your education. So, there are certain things you can do before every lecture to make it easy. This is what you need to do on this slide. Every lecturer will give you the lecture materials in advance. They have to. We are monitored on it. If we don't do it, just as I know who's read the module handbook, the university knows if I put the course together. It monitors my performance. Therefore, I have to give you lecture materials in advance. Now, I take the decision that you can have more. All of my entire course is up now. You can work through it at your own speed if you want to. I'd still advise coming, but you know, if you want to go to week 11, you have to go through all the other weeks beforehand when you're doing MS-100. But if you're in second and third year, just go through it at your own speed. I think you should be able, you know, you're mature enough to be able to make your own decisions on that kind of thing. You don't have to be drip fed week by week. I just take a different view when they were doing that like a couple of days before. It is not done just so we stay out of trouble. Although that is a motivating factor for most of my behaviours in life. This is why I got a really annoying neighbour, right? Him and his wife are incapable of having a conversation at a normal sound. Now, my instinct is to jump over the wall and batter him because he is really getting on my nerves. If you're trying to watch the Wales women's football team on Tuesday night, and all clear as him and the banshee of a wife yelling at each other. It's like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna get a manhole cover off the street, and I'm gonna pummel you to death if you don't shut up within 3 seconds. But I can't do that because my behaviour is constrained always by society itself. Society blows. Why can't I do that? It would make me happy. We, as lecturers, do have constraints, but that is not the reason why we do it. We do this, and the reason why I take the position that you should have every piece of material before the module even begins, is so that you can be as formed as possible about the topic that we are discussing now. Some of you will choose to do this. You will be successful. Those people who choose to do this will be successful in life. One day, you will come back to this university if you do this. You will look at me in my pitiful office as I'm old, can't barely walk, you know, probably back smoking, look like 1,000,000 years old. And you say, Leighton, that advice you gave me in October 2022 changed my life. It set me on the path to greatness, and it's quite amusing to see you here still sucking. That would be fantastic. Of course, attendance on time, I should say, is helpful also. If you do this, download the lecture slides in advance, the lecture itself becomes more efficient. The other stuff that is discussed becomes the stuff you focus on. And that is where the value in the lecture is. The value in the lecture is not ever on the slides. This is something that people find really hard to comprehend, especially those when they're submitting essays in January who think, I can just regurgitate the slides back. And there will be some of you who do that, and you won't do well. If you've taken the lectures beforehand, then you can attend to the important stuff in the lecture. And that is where you go from having a normal experience to a higher experience. You are then primed to ask questions. And believe me, asking questions is the best type of learning. Always. That's why you have seminars. You will be asked questions and you are encouraged to ask questions, because that is a superior form of actually learning topics than being spoken at. If you don't do this, then you are just here to be spoken at. You are getting the lowest possible form of experience of this. If you look through these things beforehand, you spend less time taking notes, more time being able to focus. You get out of that thing and it's like, oh God, what did he say then? I missed it. You don't have to do that any longer. The reading. Oh man, the reading. Always do the recommended reading before the lecture. It contextualizes it and makes it easier to understand. You have, for this module, the textbook. I've given it to you. You don't even have to pay anything for it. One of the continual bizarre conversations I have with people, undergraduate students in particular, is, should I buy books? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you should take that money and roll it up and smoke it instead. Would that be more useful? You know that stuff you get, like the student loan? You know what that's for? Buying books. That's what it's actually for. It's like people, what? No, it's for living off. No, it's not. It's for supporting your studies. That's what they give you the money for. If you don't believe me, go back and read the contract you signed. It's right in there. The purpose of that money, it's in the second paragraph of the contract you signed. Interestingly, also outlines that if you don't attend 80% of lectures and seminars on your course, you get the money taken off you. That's also in the contract you signed. It's all there, right? Just, it's like, you know, terms and conditions of an act. Nobody reads it, right? You know? I mean, I've signed up to so many terms and conditions over the years. If somebody turned up and said, you've got to become part of a human centipede, I'd be like, really? Well, I probably did tick yes, yeah. Probably, you know, I probably didn't read it, yeah. The main textbook is always available online. Any module you are doing, you will be recommended a textbook and it will always be available. That is what the library is for. Another thing about money. You know those tuition fees you pay? $9,000 a year? That's what they pay for. Literally tens of millions of pounds worth of materials held within the library that you could never, ever afford. That's what they pay for. Access to that stuff is becoming clear. How this works. By the way, I don't think you should pay a penny, alright? But that's just my belief, and I think it should be, nobody should pay tuition fees, but don't get me started. Alright, I could be wrong. You will always have that material available for you. If a lecturer has put in a handbook, this is what you should read for this week, they have to make it available. It will always be there. If you can't find it, ask them. Do you know why? Don't be too confident, but that's their job to know who it is. Lecturer's job is to help you. Never be frightened to ask them questions. You might get a sarcastic answer, again, but that's just me. But never be afraid of asking anything. I can't get into this. This is why I'm going to go off on one tomorrow, because like in week 2 for like more than 20% of the people on this module not to be here. It's really taking the piss. There is no better predictor of success on a degree course than attendance. There literally isn't one. It does not exist. It doesn't correlate to your past performance as well. It doesn't correlate towards what you've done in other modules as well. It doesn't correlate towards your wealth. It doesn't correlate towards your status. The one thing that has an almost perfect correlation with educational attainment, higher education, is attendance. I cannot overstress this. Every fucking year, then November, December, grades start coming out. People are like, I only got like 50 for this. I said, yeah, what a shock. You've been to like 2 lectures. And you only got 50. What did you expect was going to happen? That I would get down on the ground and worship you as the God you are, because you are amazing, despite the fact that you've taken in no knowledge whatsoever during this course? Did you think I was going to erect monuments in your image? Attendance is the #1 predictor. Now, attendance ain't always easy. There will be AMs. I am not a fan. I have to teach at 10 on a Monday morning. I won't lie to you, I'm not at my best at 10 o'clock in the morning. I need at least 4 coffees before I'm even semi-coherent. So it's not great, but I have to do it, right? 3rd years so far on that module, with me gaining a module. I know it's only 2 weeks, but nobody's missed a session. Why? Because it's their 3rd year. It's worth, that 3rd year is worth 67% of their final degree. They're not going to miss a session. They know, if they're there, that is, they've learned the lesson by now over years 1 and 2. You turn up. It takes a while for people to bed into that, and believe me, some never get there. And they walk out with terrible degrees usually. Like a complete waste of 3 years. I can't think of a bigger waste of an opportunity than being given a 3-year opportunity, which you're putting a load of investment into yourself in terms of your future, and just not bothering. It staggers my mind that, you know, people can react in that way. Now, there are some courses that, fortunately, this doesn't really happen anymore. If you do ever have a course with what's called an asynchronous lecture, you have to watch it every week. Asynchronous usually means recorded. I can't envisage that this is going to happen too often during the 3 years that you're into university, unless we have another pandemic. And let's hope that does not happen. It could be the case that the odd lecture here or there during those 3 years might be a recorded one, because the lecturer might be away for that week doing a conference or something like that. It does occasionally happen. If it's asynchronous, do watch. If you miss a lecture, watch the lecture within the week that you have between the two. It's pointless afterwards. Courses are designed to flow. They are not discrete little sessions. The knowledge from one week translates into the next week always. If you don't watch it before the next one, what is the point? It'll just make less sense afterwards because you've already moved past it. So if you do have to rely on recordings, then that is the way to do them. I post recordings up on Canvas. There's a tab on Canvas that says Panopto video or something like that. All recordings off that machine over there go up straight away. I'll put them up this afternoon. They will be available. They're also on my YouTube channel as well. Given that there's a recording that the university has mandated that we record every session now, it does beg the question, is it still important for you to turn up? Yes. Do not add to your workload, would be my point. Why would you add to the things that you already have to do? You have a timetable session in a room with a lecturer, who you can ask questions to. You say, I can't be fucked. I'm going to watch the recording instead. Okay, so you've just created another couple of hours to do stuff on top of the stuff that you already have to do. Why? Why when you have the other option? Doesn't make any sense to me to add to it. The instant you take that approach, you are miles behind. And you will never catch up, basically, because nobody really watches the lectures. I mean, if you do have to watch one of these recorded, put it on 1.5 speed. I can't bear watching something for that long. I can't even watch films that are 2 hours anymore, let alone anything like this. Attending actually helps you structure, get a routine, develops your time management, which are all really important things. The recording may not capture all elements of a class. Camera's there. Other people use this thing where the slides and their voice is there, and it's like, I'm not into it, it's not a thing. If you want the slides, I've already put them there for you. But it's not the same thing, definitely. discussions, Q&As and different things. Technical failures, it says rarely technical failures do occur. Not in Swansea University. The word rarely can be taken out. They occur a lot in Swansea University, I can assure you. Some lecturers aren't designed for asynchronous delivery. You will never have a recording of a seminar. Won't happen. Nobody's going to record those sessions. So if you miss it, it's gone. There is no way of catching that up. I deliberately refuse to put any materials from seminars up on Canvas. Seminars are there for you. They're not for me. That's not my time. I facilitate the seminars. I'm not teaching them. You come to the seminars to work on the material you've got for that week. There is no way of replicating that on an online system. So if you miss the seminar, it's gone. You never get it back. So, there are certain amount of sessions which this does not happen. You might think, okay, well, I don't really care. And it's like, okay. Fine, I'm happy with that. But if you're taking a practical module in levels 2 or 3, all teaching is done by seminars and none of it is put online. So you do have to attend. Opportunities have gone if you've got a recording. Some of my jokes don't work well in any fucking setting, to be honest with you, but they might translate better in person than they do in a recording, which has the ones from the lecture from last week has a content warning on YouTube for the amount of swearing in it, which I was quite impressed by, to be honest. You know, I've been aiming for that shit. Turn up. There are lots of reasons why you might miss a lecture. I accept that. We all have different lives, and there are a lot of things that can actually come into it. If you've missed lectures because of reasons outside of your control, that is one thing. Don't miss things that are inside of your control to be at. That is a different thing altogether. Do not create extra work for yourself. All your attendance is logged. I don't know how to access any of that information. There is no system that I, as a lecturer, can see who has been here and who hasn't. After 15 minutes, you are logged as absent from any session. So if you're 15 minutes late, the swipe don't work anymore. I don't think this happens once every 5 years, genuinely. But if you have a month of non-engagement with anything, you technically go on the road to being withdrawn from the university because the university considers you not to be a student any longer. It's a whole funding thing that if you don't attend or don't engage with anything from the university for 4 weeks, technically speaking, the government will cut the money that we get for you being a student. Therefore, the university says, well, this person is no longer a student. Hopefully that does not happen to anyone here, but circumstances can dictate that happens. If you are going to have an extended time away for any circumstances, the first person you need to let know is your academic mentor, so that they can log those details on the system so that does not happen. It's really simple. It is like a one-line thing, which takes 10 seconds to put in. But you wouldn't believe it. Some people that have been thrown out of university because they didn't do that. It happened last year. But it's I've only known 2 instances in 5 years of it happening, but it did happen to someone last year. And like she came back after like 7 weeks and was like, I've been withdrawn. I was like, yeah. You never answered an email. You never got in touch with anyone. You didn't attend. You didn't even log on to Canvas for 7 weeks. The university just thought you'd packed up and gone. Turns out she didn't done well. Nobody knew. She didn't think to tell anyone. She's literally withdrawn, and she tried to get back in on 2nd of November. So, really important that you engage in all of those ways. If your card ever breaks down, there are 2 things you can do. You can go to the library and go and see the people in the library that'll recode it. Or, you can go into Fulton House Just as you walk in, there's like a university reception, and there's a little card reader. Just swipe it up against that card reader, it'll reset your card, and then you can just go back and it'll be back to normal. I don't know why they don't tell anyone that, but I have to do it occasionally because I've got access to all kinds of weird rooms, and sometimes it doesn't work, and I just go and do that and it works again. So it just resets whatever happens to your card. Sometimes this can happen. What if you miss a lecture, recording becomes available afterwards, watch it as soon as you can, preferably in the same week. Watch it with someone else if that's possible. That's a really good way of watching recorded materials, with someone else who you can talk to. I'm not saying like you literally have to talk about a lecture, but a social experience of learning is much better than an individual experience. During lectures and taking notes. So, during the lecture, the notes you should be taking are what are the main points being made, what bullet points, are there any diagrams, paraphrase anything that the lecture's saying, have an outline of what has been covered in that lecture. The purpose of that is to actually engage during the lecture. Far too many people sit and do nothing. Well, let me tell you how useful that is to learning. It is about the same as hammering a nail through your nostril into your brain. It is pointless if you are not active as you are trying to learn something. Nothing gets learned. The brain is not wired to just sit passively and bring it all in. That is not how things work. You have to engage at the time that the lecture is going on, or literally nothing of value will happen. So you have to take notes. Even if the notes themselves in the lecture aren't very coherent, that's when you review afterwards. And the review is just as important for learning, to consolidate what has happened in the lecture. If you didn't take the notes in the first place, you can't consolidate, because you don't remember what happened. Because literally, you sat not really engaged with anything, and it's gone. You have the PowerPoint, but you can't remember what was said. You can't remember what context points were put in. You can't remember the examples that were given. Because it's gone. This is how working memory effectively works for human beings. So, you always should be taking notes in lectures. Doesn't matter what the lecture is, always be taking notes. That means always have something to take notes with. Students who turn up with nothing, it's pointless. You might as well not be here. And it happens, somebody literally just pitches up. No notebook, no laptop, phone's on like 3% battery. What's the point? If you've forgotten everything, one, you're a bit of a loser. But two, it's like a shop in Fulton House where you can go and buy like a writing pad and pen for like a quid. Okay? You need a quid? Come ask, I might lend you it. With the caveat that I know where you live. I can look it up. I will get my pound back. And I do charge interest. But 1 to 2 days after the lecture, always review. Do not leave it longer than this. Never leave it longer than this. It's gone. The time has gone at that point. That is the time that you go over things, 1 to 2 days afterwards. What do you do? Look at the keywords, look at what's anticipated in terms of exams. We don't have to worry about that anymore, you're not going to have any. But certainly in terms of assessments, how does this information fit into the assessment that you're looking to do? Terminology and points that need further clarification. That is critically important. Again, the role of your lecturer is to answer those questions. Unless you generate those questions in the first place, we don't have anything to do. So unless you go through this process, there's not much point us being here. Right? Now fortunately, I've got other things to get on with, like, I've got a whole VR set up in my office now, so I can just go and do that. I'm keeping myself occupied. But without students asking questions, then what's the point? Making notes helps you learn, but also gives you material. Like I said last week, everything you do in this module will be used in other modules in the future. If you have your notes, you are ready. Just to take that stuff and take it to that module. It's done. Best way to make notes is to summarize or paraphrase rather than word for word. Do not try and write things word for word. Listen, take it down. Writing word for word means inevitably you can't keep up with the pace of it. You drop off. You stop listening because you're concentrating on writing. Listen, then notes. Making good notes can be really difficult, but have a look for different systems online. The Cornell method is one I've mentioned. There's millions of different methods. Find your method. Your focus should always be on understanding the lecture. If, during the middle of a lecture, somebody put their hand up to ask a question, what do you think would happen? I would ask that person, what's your question? And then I would answer it. Because that's what I'm here to do. That's my job. I'm literally paid to do that. Do not ever be afraid to ask for clarification. That's literally, it's in my job description somewhere. I don't know where, I've never read the document, but I'm telling you it's in there. It's what I'm paid for. Please, anything that you're not sure of, ask. If you're not, look, it's a big room, right? There's a lot of people in here. I get the social anxiety thing. If you're not comfortable with doing that, email me. After the lecture, as soon as you still got it in your head, email. I will answer you. Like right away. I'm in my office uploading the recordings. I'm literally there for an hour. Just email me. Tweet me. Find me on Twitter. Tweet me. I will answer your question on Twitter. No problem. Instagram me. I'm not that difficult to find. You know? Carve a message on the tree outside the digital technium. I will see it. Okay? Promise. I'll get there. You know? Hire a skywriter to put the question in the clouds, and I will find a way to reply. This is my job. This is all our jobs. Do never feel that you're interrupting the flow or that you are annoying people. This is what we are here to do. And it does not matter what the question is. There are no dumb questions, there are just dumb answers. You might get a dumb answer off me. I'm sorry about that. But what do you get? You'll get the right answer, and then you'll get the kind of sorry answer. Sorry about that. Never be anxious about taking notes, but importantly, never be anxious about asking questions so that your notes can improve. That is not something that anyone should ever feel concerned about. There is evidence that taking notes by hand is better than taking them on a computer. This is because when you're taking them by hand, it is easier to focus on the person who is speaking than when you're taking on a computer, where your focus is inevitably drawn to the screen itself. That is worth keeping in mind. I will say that to you. But the vast majority of you have computers in front of you. If that is what you're comfortable with doing, then so be it. That's fine. The only real problem in lectures has got nothing to do with computers. It's got to do with distraction. One of the great ironies of the digital age is that it has not improved focus. There are people with laptops open at the moment who do not have this crap on the screen, or any notes or anything like that. I'm not looking at you till I'm just accusing you. They have something else. They have loads of lectures. Look, I've seen people watching things on YouTube, I've seen people watching Netflix, I've seen people watching porn. You know, I've sat down next to them to watch it with them. That really creeps them out. Okay? And it wasn't like vanilla stuff. I mean, this was nasty. So, you know, if you really need to watch porn, phone. It's a smaller screen. It's less distracting. The real problem is distraction. The issue really with using computers for note-taking is that we don't use computers for note-taking. We use computers for millions of different things. And it is too tempting very often for many of us not to switch to something else and completely tune out from the experience, because then you are present in the thing that you are doing, not present in the place you are. And do you know what? That happens. I would be lying to you if I say I don't do that myself. I did yesterday because, you know, like state of the badass art. I didn't go to the team meeting yesterday because it's just got to be fun. But the last one, the week before, I wasn't there. I genuinely was. I was reading like match previews of the Swansea game for the weekend. You know, I was tinkering with my American football fantasy football team, looking at flights to go away for Christmas. Meeting was 50 minutes long. I heard nothing. Honestly, they might have said, like, Leighton, you've got this to do by next week, or you can be fired. And I was like, yeah, right, no problem. I genuinely was not present in that experience at all. So I know, I'm like this all the time, right? I put a Liverpool match on last night. I couldn't have watched more than 2 minutes of it because I was on Twitter, I was doing this, I was doing that. At some point I started watching a YouTube video which was like 40 minutes long, and I think I watched the whole thing. When I turned up, when I looked at it, it was like 7-1 to Liverpool. I was like, I've managed to miss 8 goals in this game. What the hell is going on? It was like, might be time to go to bed because I've completely wasted this. So, my point is, in lectures, be present. If you're going to use IT, fab. Right? I would do the same. But it's a self-discipline, unfortunately. There's nothing I can tell you that will improve that situation. You've got to have focus. You can install social media blockers if that helps, but come on, we're not kids. Please. And social media addiction's a thing. If you do the lecture with me, if you do the course with me next year, you will find out that it is a real thing. But it's not ever that intense. Always ask for help. Now, there is an MS-100 thread on the Media Studies Discord, which is specifically there for you to ask for help. If you've got any problems with MS-100 at all, ask me. I will answer you. I'm one of those Discord people that has it on like every device. So anyone who ever posts something in a thread that I'm the manager of, it will always come up. Post questions there. I will always ask you questions, but I will always give you space for questions as well. Every lecturer should be the same.